Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
Welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
And welcome to another Monday Mini that's centered around me. Yeah? You ready? So I have been reflecting on my once again crisis of trying to get into the holiday spirit. We've already talked about this many a times. And, I've decided I'm really just going to love the cliche of it all. And I started thinking about it. Is it really always bad to like or be a part of a cliche? Anney, what do you think?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know. Okay. So for clarification here, cliché is a trite phrase or expression, a hackneyed theme, characterization, or situation, something that has become overly familiar or commonplace. And this is all according to Merriam-Webster. And the scriber writes this: a cliché is an expression or trope that has lost its impact due to excessive use in a given cultural context. Time heals all wounds is an example of a cliché. Clichés are often perceived as a sign of a lack of effort, imagination, or sincerity in writing, speech, and creative works. So, in this context, something we would think is done too much. But if we look at how long people and just creativity have been around, really, there's really nothing new. It's just recycled, and we can tell that by fashion. Oh, the fashion. So why, Anney, why can't I be somewhat cliche? Huh? Why? Yeah, I'm going into this with very heavy-handed acting.
I like this.
Why,
Samantha,
yes.
actor.
Yes, why, yes. I would love a pumpkin spice, anything and everything. And please give me that green bean casserole. By the way, my partner's mother made an amazing one. It was from scratch. I do things from a can, and she did an amazing job. Like, even sauteed her mushrooms with nutmeg. She did a whole thing, and it was delicious, I would say. Avocado toast, put an egg on it, and I'll eat that thing. Yes, I will. Make sure it has, I will say I did get it from my partner's sister. She was like, if it's going to be expensive and it doesn't have some type of meat protein component, that just seems outrageous. And I had to think about that. I'm like, but that means it's not necessarily avocado toast anymore. It's just sandwich, yeah? But yes. I agree with her. It's expensive. I'm not paying something that's so expensive that it looks like it should have at least an egg on it.
It's true. It's true. And my food podcaster is coming out. Avocado has protein in it, number one. But I think the issue is avocado is really expensive. And then a lot of things in our stores are underpriced. However, a lot of restaurants overprice them. So it's like we're not paying the right people the price. The people who should be getting the money aren't getting the money. But yeah, when you get avocado toast for true. $12, but avocados are really expensive.
It's true. And if we have tariffs next year, specifically in Mexico, we're in trouble, even though we already know we're kind of in trouble, but even more so.
Yeah.
Speaking of cliche foods, because apparently I think avocado toast would be in that now, overdone label. Yeah. These are some of the foods that a 2019 Kitchen article wrote as some of the most cliche fancy foods. And I want to see if you agree that you think they're cliche. European butter.
Wouldn't know anything about it.
Oh, really? So we really get into the Irish butter over here. Yeah.
I know it's better, in quotes, than what I use.
I've heard that my partner thinks the quality has changed since the beginning, especially since its popularization.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've been told.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. What about... Okay, and I'm a little confused. Oysters. Is oysters cliche? I guess it's become fancy.
It's sort of your like, yeah.
Yeah.
You're going out, you're getting oysters and champagne. It's a fancy, I don't know, people, because a lot of people
They also
don't,
just hate the texture.
yeah,
Like,
a lot
they're
of people
very
don't,
afraid of it.
yeah, don't try them.
Yeah. So it can't be overdone if people just already don't like it, right?
I think it's the idea of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
One I think is kind of funny because I'm not gonna lie. Did I buy a little pack of it when I was in Seattle? Yes. Good olive oils or flavored olive oils. We got some fancy olive oils up here.
Yeah. I give that to my mom a lot.
Yeah.
For the holidays. Yeah.
I give spices. So one of the other things they have listed on here is truffle salt. And I did get like the Maldon fancy finishing salts. We just got some for our family, like for his family to have at the house. I'm cliche. I like it. I like a good seasoned salt. Give me that garlic seasoned salt. Yummy. Who doesn't love seasonings? What is wrong with you? But yes, I think it's funny because, of course, holidays in general are steeped in cliches, or some may just call them traditions. Why can't they just be traditions? Am I watching all of the New Girls Thanksgiving and Christmas episodes? Yes. Have I watched many of the sitcoms, Christmas specials? I think I've watched all the ones I usually always watch. And I forgot about the Scrubs one, and I watched those too. It's barely December. Yeah, I went all in.
No.
I have a problem. Did I buy the Christmas tree Debbie cakes? Yes, I did. As well as the Christmas tree Reese's cup, or Reese's Santas, or the Christmas tree Reese's. Like, there's so many variations of it that yes. Do I eat them? No. That's my partner. Yes.
So the act of buying them is...
I guess so. Just being seasonal.
Yeah.
So cliches aren't just my overdone traditions and desperate attempts to fill the holidays in my heart. Yes, to melt the ice from my cold soul. Just a little bit. This is my attempt. But also tropes and cliches like we were talking about are about writings and book plots. You know, we talked about this in movie plots. Like, so many of these are cliches and tropes that they kind of get intermingled as words within the industry. One interview that bookishbrews.com did with author Susan Witherspoon talk about some of these cliches and how to use those cliches, and whether or not it's bad to have cliches. So in the interview, they wrote specifically about tropes, saying this: book tropes refer to narrative conventions and recurring themes found in genre fiction. Think the third act breakup in a romance novel, or the group is split up in a horror movie. If tropes are used in a story, it's usually to fulfill the conventions of the genre and the reader's expectation of the book they pick up, whether the author is doing this consciously or not. And as you know, it's not just in books. My K-dramas are riddled with them, so much so they have become hilarious online memes or jokes, like literally talking about comparing different dramas, American dramas versus Korean dramas, and the overall cliche of it all, including there's always a love triangle. There must be. There's always a second lead. Have to. Randomly getting hit by a car. Why not? Like, there's so much of that I'm like, what? There's so much. The whole, like, protecting someone's back by using your own back. Hugging from behind. That's all a part of the K-drama. And for some reason, they work. And we're all like, oh! The anticipation. Then the first kiss, the very, very lip-locked kiss, like they're not moving a thing, but they're like pursing barely. They're not even pursing their lips. Kiss that happens in episode 7. And everybody finds that risque. Like, we love this. There's something that builds up to this. So in this interview, the interviewer Amanda asks, I hear a lot of people talking about how tropes make stories repetitive or cliche. Some people even go so far as to say that the tropes take creativity out of storytelling. Do you think this is true? Can you speak on these thoughts? So this is Witherspoon's answer. They say, I think it's important to first lay down the only objective rule of storytelling. There are no objective rules. Some will find tropes and abominations. Others will relish in them. I'm the latter. An argument I do find funny is when people think, quote, good stories don't have tropes or that using them is a crutch. Genres are inherently defined by their conventions, ones that are used time and time again until they can be easily identified as tropes by readers. Just because it's been done before doesn't make it boring. I think some readers find tropes to mean a story is unoriginal, which is just impossible. The same trope written by 1,000 different people are going to be portrayed in different ways, especially BIPOC authors who are only recently getting to use their tropes in mainstream publishing. I go as far as saying that tropes inspire creativity. Take a look at Archive of Our Own, AO3. There has to be a million fan fictions that use the there's only one bed trope, but no two utilize it the same way. Speaking from my own experience, I wanted to find a way to use my favorite trope of fake dating, and brainstorming all the ways that characters could find themselves in that situation inspired a whole 80,000-word novel. So they talk about, they're talking about their own book at this point and just talking about that. And I believe she is a Korean author, and she was talking about this. And yeah, absolutely. I think that's interesting in this conversation. Anney? You have thoughts?
Yes, of course. You mentioned fan fiction. Here I am. I agree because I think there's also the knowing of the tropes can lead to a lot of creativity too. So like we've talked before about the final girl or things in horror where people look at it differently, where it's the trope, but it's maybe in a different way. In fan fiction, I would say like if you see the tag, there was only one bed. It's fun. It's kind of fun to anticipate how that's going to happen. There's something about the expectation, like at some point, they're both going to share a bed against their like wishes, like consensually, but they're like, oh no, there's only one bed. We have to both get in it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like how many different ways that can happen. And sometimes like it happens and it's like super sweet and it's like, oh my God, they're cold or whatever. And sometimes it happens where it's like really still antagonistic. Like, I hate that I have to share this bed with you. So it can like play out in a lot of ways, but honestly, kind of knowing the trope sometimes is half the fun of it. Like, how are we going to get to this point from where we're starting?
Like you're trying to see how their creativity is going to come out.
Yeah, like especially if you start and you're like, I don't know how they're going to end up in this bed.
Right.
It's just fun.
And sometimes like that predictability is reassuring. Yeah. Like I've been hesitant in starting new shows. We've talked about this before. For me specifically, because I don't know how traumatic it's going to be. And I'm like, I need a warning. I have gotten to the point that I will watch TikTok videos about it and know where I can skip it. Like I've gotten to that point because I will say for K-dramas, they have unnecessary amount of violence that doesn't need to be in there. But for some reason, they love having a point of like one of them's going to get kidnapped, one of them get murdered. Like always, and it's usually always women who are the ones who get hurt. South Korea is going through some things. Anyway. All that to say is, I think it's also nice to know as well, or because you also like that trope. It's okay to like a cliche. It's okay to being like, this is cool. This gives me a little bit of comfort, you know? And I think about this as well when it comes to like, great cliche makes great content, plot, or even a gift. So I found one article talking about the love of cliche gifts written by Kayla Kibbs titled, Take It From a Woman. There's nothing wrong with cliche gifts. I think we should take notes for anyone who are trying to do the best with gifts because you never know. The most simple answer may be the best answer. I love
Yeah.
receiving flowers. I didn't think I did because I thought it was useless, but now I'm like, I kind of want it. I kind of want those flowers. Where are my flowers? But she did share some of those thoughts, including the fact that many of the cliche gifts are gifts you wouldn't buy yourself. This is the thing. She writes, part of the reason cliche gifts are cliche is because there are many things most people won't buy for themselves. Fancy chocolates, flowers, nice jewelry, and perfume are things we tend to think of as gifts, meaning many women would prefer to receive them as such, regardless of whether or not they could afford them on their own. If you avoid these gifts in favor of something more unique or, God forbid, practical, I think this is where we need to this is that big conversation we've had before about gift giving. Then that might mean the lady in your life just never gets the things she actually wants. Just in case any girl bosses are listening, yes, women should feel empowered to buy whatever they want for themselves, and some allegedly might even prefer to do so. That's feeling very passive-aggressive. Anyway, Mrs. Dalloway can go ahead and buy the flowers herself, but the rest of us would probably prefer to have them sent to us, and not just because we don't feel like spending our own money. Certain things like flowers and sometimes jewelry or perfume just feels more meaningful as a romantic gesture. Nice things are always nice, and sure, anyone who wants to can and should splurge on their own fancy chocolate or jewelry. Still, nice things are often even nicer when they're surprised from a loved one. And okay, yes, obviously, it's always better when someone else pays for them. I think one of the big things in that conversation is, for me, when someone is thoughtful, it really brings out a lot. And a lot of those things are, yes, these are things that I want, but I don't think I need, so I'm not going to buy them for myself. I think as you get older, you have, a little bit more freedom in your account and all of that, and you start buying a little more things for yourself. Like, you're like, if I need it, I'll get it type of conversation. That does happen. But there's something to be said when someone knows you so well that they see something, they're like, yes, this is what they should get or they would want, that they would never buy for themselves. And I will say my partner's family have done a great job in that. Like, in some of the most thoughtful gifts that I've received have been from them. Like, yeah, they listen to this podcast, I think. Like, I'm pretty sure they're sneaky. They're sneaky listening. And got some clues because my partner's brother bought me Anne of Green Gables themed things, including, I think I talked about this a little bit, the fact that he commissioned his artist friend to do a beautiful art based on the book, and it's with the perfect frame that matches everything. And he did this for myself and for his sister as well. And it was so thoughtful that I was like, oh my God, I have not hung it up yet because nothing's hung up in this house. But it was so oh my God, he really paid attention when we were talking about the fact that I really loved Anne of Green Gables growing up. His sister bought me a whole K-drama gift set last year because she knew I was really into K-dramas, and I am really into K-dramas. Really cute things. Gave me some Korean candies. I was like, look at you. What? So really and his mom is so good at buying these purple glasses that I love. They're tumblers because she knows I like that color, and then it matches kind of my personality. They do a great job. And his dad hilariously knows that I love crabs, so gave me a whole gift set of utensils so I would be prepared to crack the king crab legs that you have bought me before.
Oh, no,
Anney.
I did, yeah.
It was giant. I don't think we had those tools at that point, but man, I'm prepared now because he knew.
It's as big as my leg.
Yeah, it was so huge. 2 of them fed the 3 of us, and we were so full.
Yeah.
But anyway, and some of these things could be considered cliche. Some of these things wouldn't be, and it's just, even if it is, having flowers brought to me is so thoughtful. I'd like to dry out the flowers and keep them forever and ever and never and never. And I feel that same way. My partner, who is male, I didn't get him flowers. I got him wooden flowers from a place because I thought they were really pretty. And I was like, he never gets flowers. I'll go get him some. Stuff like that is genuinely just being thoughtful. But, in those moments, I'm like, yeah, being cliche is not bad. Let's give in. Let's just enjoy things. Including going to New York and seeing Rockefeller Center. I'm going to do this.
We're going to have fun.
Damn it, we will have fun and we will have Christmas.
I think you're totally right. I think the key is like, if someone doesn't like chocolate, but chocolate's the easy gift, don't get them chocolate. It has to be a thoughtful cliche.
Right. It has to be thoughtful. Yes.
Yes. But otherwise, it's a reason people like those certain things. Very comforting.
Very comforting.
Often. And it can be really hard to think of like every year. I just made my wish list for my mom, and I was like, I don't know. It can be hard to think of like new things that you want every year.
Cliche gift card. Give me that. I
find a Star Wars thing. I like it.
If I send my nieces and nephew just money, because I'm like, I remember being young, and all I wish was you can just give me some money so I can choose myself, whether it's just to go out to eat or get groceries that week. Please give me money. So I would just, now that we have all those cash apps, which are wonderful, but like I send them just directly money. I'm like, here, I'm not going to choose for you because I know you might need it for gas, and that's okay.
Yeah. It's a balance between the like asking what people want, but the also like nice surprise.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listeners, if you have any thoughts on this, any popular tropes you want to talk about, any cliches that you're really into, please let us know. You can email us at stephanie@momstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff I Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have a TeePublic store, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production by iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.